All right, Phil Jurkovec has found a new home, but will he actually win the starting quarterback job? There's about 20 quarterbacks at Pitt right now. We'll talk about who will ultimately get QB1 positioning, but what will you do without Abanikanda? Izzy is gone, but will the production on the ground remain the same for the Pitt Panthers? We'll talk about their defense as well. How cupcake is their schedule, really? Could they be back at an ACC championship? All of that on today's show.
You are Locked On ACC, your daily podcast on the Atlantic Coast Conference. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to today's edition of Locked On ACC. I'm your host, Candace Cooper, joined by Kenton Gibbs. Each and every day, you can find us wherever you listen to podcasts. Make sure you download and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We have 1,000, but 2,000 is even better. We look forward to talking with you guys today. As you know, we are in the off season, almost close, but spring games are upon us. People are transferring left and right after spring games. Shout out to the guys at Colorado. Luckily enough, we don't have those sorts of issues here, but there could be some of that song and dance as Phil Jurkovec and the boys there at Pitt are trying to find that QB1 spot, and it seems to be very competitive right now as there's at least six of them jokers trying to be QB1 up at Pitt.
I mean, hey, may the best man win.
What you always say, if they have two quarterbacks, then you have none.
No.
But what is the saying for six quarterbacks?
If you have six quarterbacks, you're gonna struggle to get the 6 wins. That's normally how it works out. But I don't think all 6 are seriously in the running for QB1. Like, can't be.
So you have true freshmen, you have redshirt sophomores, you have Nate Yarnell, you have Phil Jurkovec who came in, you have the guy from Penn State who transferred. We'll call him Veilleux because I can't pronounce his name. It's a little French going on there. Mm-hmm. But he also is trying to vie for the positioning and actually did well during spring game. Phil struggled a little bit, but had some flashing moments. Phil is probably going to get the job because Cignetti is his former offensive coordinator. Feels a little biased, but will he remain the quarterback for all of the season? No.
That remains to be seen. That's the question. It ain't about, I tell people all the time, it ain't about who start the season. It's about who finished that thing off. And we've seen situations before where the guy that we thought was going to be the guy all year ain't the one to finish that thing out. So we'll see.
But you don't transfer as a senior to assume you are not getting a job, right?
What do they say about assumptions? What do they say about assuming?
What happens if you get beat out at camp as a senior? You're transferring, right?
Where?
Oh, okay.
You lost in camp. Like, here's the only problem with that, right? Mm-hmm. If you transfer after camp, like, where are you going to go? That's going to have a spot for you because, mind you, you're talking about getting beat out at camp. We're not talking about getting beat out in spring ball. We're talking camp.
Okay, I'm sorry. You got beat out at spring ball.
Well, if you get beat out in spring ball and you decide to transfer, you better hurry up because that window is closing too. So you better go on and.
I'm sorry. I don't mean summer camp. I don't mean fall camp. I mean if you get beat out at spring.
I mean, if you get beat out in spring and you mad about it and you want to transfer, you better skedaddle immediately because
if you're still taking multiple reps from different groups, is that not a bad sign?
It's not a good one. It's not. I'll tell you that much. It's not a good one. I don't look at it.
If you're not running with the ones, that's a long day. That needs to have more conversations, in my opinion.
I don't know why Pitt can't get the answer right at quarterback. It's the curse of the fake slide. Ain't nothing went right for them since that fake slide.
No, they won the championship with the fake slide.
Well, of course, they were up by what?
They sacrificed the fake slide.
After the fake slide, they were up how much? What was it, 14 or 20? Like,
at least.
I'm telling you.
So they did the fake slide, sacrificed to the Illuminati gods, and now they can't find a quarterback since.
Are you a Dragon Ball Z fan at all? Did you watch that growing up?
BFFR, kidding.
Okay, well, the main character was Goku, and he used to have this thing called a spirit bomb where he would telekinetically talk to everybody, or telepathically, not telekinetically, He would telepathically talk to every human being on earth, and he would say, "Lend me your energy, like for this super move, right?"
Mm-hmm.
And every defender got together at once when we saw that fake slide and said, "Lend me your energy. We will never allow Pitt to be good again." And like that's what happened.
Well, if there was ever a year for Pitt to be good in spite of a mediocre quarterback, this is the year. The schedule isn't exactly. We're not crying over here, sweating bullets. I don't know.
I don't know. I think they have a decently tough out of conference schedule. I think their out of conference schedule
out of a conference.
Their out of conference schedule is not bad. They're in conference. Yeah, I mean,
I think their in conference is like typical.
Yeah, their in conference. Yeah, their in conference definitely gives Coastal. It for
screams
sure,
Coastal.
For sure. But the out of conference,
they can put much. They can put so much jacket up. I mean, there's only a couple games. We'll get into it, but I'm just saying. All right, go ahead.
Again, I think that the if Phil, I think for Phil's sake, you kind of can't transfer. Like if you have any hope,
maybe if you couldn't get it right at Boston College and now not Pitt, you're in trouble.
If you have literally any hope, and I mean an iota, a skosh, a dash, a smidge, a just the tiniest particle that you can imagine of playing in the NFL, you can't transfer again.
We know an iota ain't much, so I truly hope.
Wow.
I really hope that it works out for you, boy. That's all I'm going to say about that. But beyond just the offensive production that you have from the quarterback position, our dog Izzy finally got free. As we mentioned on the show, we like to free guys who, pretty much carry the load on their backs for programs that are struggling. We freed Sean Tucker last season, freed Izzy over here, and we're just happy to see him, on his way off to better things. Now, you have Hammond returning, but the running back position with Derek Davis Jr. coming over from the transfer portal, it certainly is wide open. But if you're going to want to have a successful season, you're going to have similar to better sort of production that Izzy had last year.
You don't replace Izzy 1-for-1. I mean, you can't. This
is under the assumption that Phil is going to be similar to your boy Slovis.
Here's the thing: if Phil is similar to Slovis and they don't replace Izzy, this cupcake of a schedule is going to turn out to have some cyanide in the batter because
Jordan Addison was on to something.
Listen, all I'm saying is this, okay? However you look at it, Jordan Addison wasn't going to be here this year anyway. That man was going to get paid. But,
of course.
But with that being said, again, somebody put a root out on this team. Somebody did something because
for what? Because they have great defense. I mean, they have
their defense is elite.
They have ballers, right? Kalijah Kancey is about to hear his name called. As much as people sleep on him, I was on Locked On Texans episode, and they were sort of surprised how high I was on Kalijah. I was like, "Are you?"
You know what's crazy? I was talking about their defensive end Wilson, and they were like, "Oh my God, how'd you know about him?" I'm like, "The boy is 6'6", 280, and he's an animal off there." Like, do y'all think we don't watch the games at all? Like, what do y'all think we? Anyway, yeah, proceed.
Say all that to say, I think defense is not going to be the problem for Pitt. It wasn't the problem last year. Yeah. I really truly believe it's going to be what can they do offensively? Can they just have a quarterback who can throw? Like we're at bare bones here. The bar, hell, Hades. Just give me some sort of product. If you're a great game manager, Pitt's going to be a scary team.
I strongly disagree.
What?
Strongly disagree.
Okay.
Somebody on this offense is going to have to be prolific. Last year, Izzy was prolific. Izzy wasn't good. He was great.
He had no choice.
But that's what I'm saying. But here's the thing. You always have a choice because we've seen teams where, I looked at that big receiver from Virginia Tech last year. I said, he has no choice but to be great. He said, I actually do have a choice. And I will exercise my choice to not be great all the time. That's just the reality.
Yeah.
Granted, the young man's a former walk-on, so for expectations, he was great. But you get the point. Izzy was so dominant last year that, again, I don't think you're going to replace him 1-for-1. I think the entire offense has to raise up the level.
See, here I was thinking that we were on the same page. We both got maroon on today, a little crimson action, if you will. And I thought we were vibing. I thought we were going to be 1-for-1 in the matching, but it's clearly not that, and that's okay. You know, sometimes we're off our kilter here. But what we are on and about is FanDuel. Listen, we got Kenton and Grayson who love to talk baseball, but more importantly than that, we have you locked and loaded for a no sweat first bet up to $1,000 with our friends at FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. Just go to FanDuel.com/lockedon to sign up for a first bet up to $1,000 back in bonus bets if you don't win. So you have an opportunity to set before you. You got hockey, you got baseball, you got basketball playoffs, you got, predicting the NFL draft, who's going to be the first pick and all those fun things. Hey, that is right there for you. Don't miss your chance to get a no sweat first bet up to $1,000 when you join FanDuel today. Just go to FanDuel.com/lockedon to sign up. Kenton Gibbs here. We're talking through Pitt this season. What will they be? How will they, pretty much not be coastal champions competing for a coastal division? We know divisions are done here in the ACC, and I'm looking at their schedule. I'm saying to myself, I think it's pretty light, but Kenton over here thinks it's pretty aggressive for the non-conference. So let's get into this bad boy, shall we?
Let's do it.
September 2nd, they face off at home against Wofford. A nice opener, if you will. Hey, we're figuring out who our QB1 is. He's going to show some flashes. He's going to make some mistakes. It's game one. It's Wofford. We won't trip. No,
they shouldn't trip or falter here. I think that this should be a very easy win for this team. If this game is a struggle, this is going to be a tough season. It's going to be a real long season, but I think that they don't trip, falter, or stumble here. I think they get an easy win.
September 9th, they stay at home and face off against Cincinnati. Cincinnati, a team that you could argue flirt with potentially being in the ACC.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Cincinnati is a team that they're always one of the best of the group of five. They're always one of the best of the group of five. And you say to yourself, well, they don't have Fickle anymore. They were decent before Fickle got there. They weren't a bad group of five team before he got there. He just took them to another level to where they were at national prominence. With that being said, some of his guys are still there.
Yeah. This is a nice little gut check. This could be we thought that Phil was the guy, but he got about 1.5 games before we figure out he's not the guy.
Yeah, you'll see. I'm telling you right now, it is not that hard. You will see exactly what this team is about.
Will he be funny in the light?
And again, I'm gonna tell you this, right? We talked about the Fighting Scott Satterfield so much last year. We talked about him all years. Oh man, he's coaching for his job. He's coaching for his job, and then he messes around and goes to this here Cincinnati team from Louisville, where again, this is a Cincinnati team where winning is the expectation. Double-digit wins year in and year out.
Well, they match with Coach Satterfield.
Yeah,
I guess. That's the way you want to do it.
Again, we're gonna see. We're gonna see because you know what I like to say, okay? It's we're going to refrain from using the animal labels here today. It's not about your X's and your O's, it's about your what's, Candace?
Your Jimmys and your Joes. But I will say, my friend Slam Tana educated me on why horses were important in terms of why we use that phrase. So I appreciate, shout out to Slam Tana for listening to yesterday's episode and educating me on the correct or the reasoning behind certain analogies.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, shout out to Slam Tana.
I'm not using any animals today because I like 5-star reviews.
You were wilded yesterday. You were wilded.
I'm just trying to help the group. That's all I'm trying to do.
I understand.
Anyway, September 16th, we go on our first road trip for Pitt to West Virginia, a team that we all know. We love a little backyard brawl.
It's the backyard brawl, baby. It's the
a little
backyard
rumble
brawl.
And tumble, if you will. Last year's was very close. It was definitely a nail biter. I think if you didn't have Keaton, you had a better quarterback, things would have gone differently.
Who you telling? The people of West Virginia are if they listen to this episode, they're going to be, y'all sent shots at us last time, and y'all only going to say, oh, if they had a better quarterback, it would have went easier, as if, who was their quarterback? Was it JT Daniel? Was god-awful in that game, and they still found a way to put up 31. So, I mean.
Did Keaton transfer to West Virginia?
No, Keaton.
Okay. Whew, I almost had a heart attack.
Wait, where did Keaton transfer to?
I don't know. You can look that up as we
now
go.
We gotta look it up. I was about to say, now we gotta find out where Keaton is. Where's Keaton Slovis?
100%. All I had to say, I think that this West Virginia matchup obviously is an important one. Coming off the Cincinnati game is going to be essential for Pitt to stay focused and really hammer home. As you mentioned, the non-conference schedule is super tough. And now I can see your point there.
Yeah, it's much tougher than their in-conference. And also, Keaton Slovis is at BYU.
Okay.
But anywho.
Well, praise the Lord, saints. He's on a
praise
mission.
The Lord.
He's
praise
on
the
a
Lord. Praise the Lord, Latter-day Saints. He's at BYU. Praise the Lord, Latter-day Saints.
He is on a mission. Amen.
Absolutely. But anywho, again,
points. You're making points.
And this is why I say that non-conference schedule is so tough, because it leads into one of their toughest games in conference of the season. It's like, man, all of their non-conference, if you look at their toughest non-conference games, it goes into their toughest in-conference games. Both of them. And it's
that's fair.
It's gonna be a tough time, brother. It's gonna be a tough time.
That's fair. The first tough matchup of the year, honestly, for conference schedule-wise for Pitt will be North Carolina, and they'll face off against them on September 23rd. North Carolina returning Drake May. Hey, this is what a good quarterback looks like. I don't really know what this North Carolina team is, to be honest. They're returning some guys. Their secondary literally got, dismantled during offseason. Who knows what people are still trying to figure out during springtime. But Pitt is always that coastal rival that's going to give you a good game regardless. We've seen it especially the last couple of years.
Yeah, I don't think that this game is going to be one that's easy to predict for a lot of reasons. Mm-hmm. Pitt's strength is their defense. That is, they're bringing back a ton of super seniors on that defense. All of the experience that they have, well, not all, but half of the experience that they have is in super seniors that are on that defense. Will it be enough to stop Drake May? No. Will it be enough to contain him? Yes. Mm-hmm. The question is, who in that offense is going to perform? Who going to show up?
Can they outperform Cedric Gray and the boys? Who knows?
Which one of y'all is going to – and that's why I said you can't just have somebody – you're not going to replace Izzy 1-for-1. Everybody has to show up and play above the level at which they're predicted.
Hell, this could be a Derek Davis Jr. breakout game for all we know, but it'll be one where they're going to have to deliver.
And so that's the back end of it, because although we expect Pitt's offense to struggle, ain't nobody ever counted on North Carolina's defense to get a stop now. That's a bad bet to make, So
this could be the year. This could be, they let my boy go, thank God. This could be the year.
So you gonna blame Dre Blount for App State put up how many in the fourth quarter on that team? You gonna blame Dre Blount for all that?
Honestly, yes.
Okay.
On September 30th, we gotta move on.
Absolutely.
Pitt will face off against Virginia Tech. It's that. Do we think Virginia Tech is going to win again? We haven't talked about Virginia Tech yet, but every time we seem to talk about an opponent, it ain't even. We don't even bat an eyelash.
I'm gonna tell you. This is one of those games where Virginia Tech hits their ceiling. They get a win here, but I don't think they hit their ceiling. I don't think that they hit like a great year for Coach Pry. Yeah, go ahead and roll it. Pitt.
I don't know.
Congratulations.
I'm going to give this one to Virginia Tech. Because it's at Virginia Tech. I'm gonna give it to Virginia Tech.
Okay? Listen. I played at Lane Stadium. It's crazy. Enter the Sandman. It's crazy. It's no joke. It's a beautiful tradition. It's something that I experiencing that felt like a blessing. It felt like one of the greatest moments of my life. With that being said,
ain't enough sand, man.
There's not enough sand nor man to make up for what they missing over there on that roster.
Right. October 7th, Pitt has a bye week, and then on October 14th, we'll see Pitt take on Louisville at home. A Louisville team, new coach, new energy, new vibes. But do they have enough to beat a now pretty identifiable in hitting their stride Pitt Panther team?
I mean, we're counting on them hitting their stride, but will they be? Don't get me wrong. If you beat Virginia Tech after coming off a couple bad losses, are you hitting your stride, or did you just beat a bad team?
Man, you don't want to give nobody no love today. Okay.
Listen, I'm just telling you the truth. I'm just telling you the truth. And again, it's very possible. It's very possible that they shellac. It's very possible that they shellac the Bearcats, and that they find a way to pull off the upset against
West Virginia.
Against North Carolina, actually. Against North Carolina as well. And win the backyard brawl. Backyard brawl, throw the records out. It doesn't matter. Like, that's one of those types of rivalries.
Sure.
But if they are hitting their stride here, then I highly doubt that they lose here.
Okay, October 21st, they'll face off at Wake Forest, 2 back-to-back away games, and October 28th at Notre Dame. Wake Forest game, I think, is a toss-up. I think it really just depends on where the program is at, both of them, respectfully. I think Wake Forest has a lot of same thing we're talking about here, a lot of question marks as to how their team is going to be without Sam Hartman, but then they go off. Pitt is going to have to face Sam Hartman as he is leader of the Notre Dame team.
And I want to say this for anybody who's like, oh, y'all just don't know anything. That's why you just keep flip-flopping. Pitt is returning the least production in the conference from last year. So, like, it's a fair thing to say, I don't know what this team's going to look like.
Beyond that, it's damn April. What you want me to say?
Yeah, it's
people could get through camp and break a leg. There's so many things that can happen. I love injury free. So let me just be clear. I like everybody to be available so you can pull no punches and say, oh, well, they didn't have so that's why. Listen, you got to play with who's out there.
I have one scar on both of my Achilles and 2 scars on my left arm here that tells you as much as we would all love injury free, if ifs and buts was berries and nuts, squirrels never starve. We live in a real world.
Baby,
that's where we live.
You love a message, okay?
I'm just saying.
That box you love is soapy.
It's the reality of what we live in. So I mean, this Pitt team, we don't know what they're going to be. Mm-hmm. We don't know, but this Wake Forest game, it'll be a good measuring stick for both teams. And that Notre Dame game, that measuring stick is going to get broke off on somebody's behind, and it's not going to be the guys with the golden helmets. Not going to be the golden helmet.
It could be an upset, Kenton.
It's possible. Yeah. As long as you show up, you got a puncher's chance. They going
to have to punch the hell up because got somebody.
Hey, now.
Yeah, it's going to be challenging.
We saw Marshall get an upset against this Notre Dame team last year,
Now, Pitt's defense does give me Marshall energy.
That's what I'm saying. You saw Marshall get upset. It's possible. Is it likely?
But Sam Hartman. But Sam, if you give me a Sam Hartman or Phil Jurkovec comparison, I don't know.
I mean,
both are head cases. I ain't gonna hold you.
But the question is, how good is Sam Hartman outside of that offense? How good is he?
We about to find out the worst way.
Because I mean, you had 6'5" receivers that were pushing off on everything and never got called for it. Never. Like.
But you don't think that being at Notre Dame, he's going to get more calls because Notre Dame is Notre Dame?
No, but Notre Dame doesn't have a bunch of 6'5". Like, for all the things that Wake Forest does not have, you can't say that they don't recruit players for that system. They get guys that fit exactly what they want. Yeah. All they backs real short, real small, just stay behind that line, dance around a little bit, then boop, pop out of there and make happen. All those outside receivers, the shortest one I've seen over there recently is 6'2". Everybody is 6'3", 6'4", 6'5". Notre Dame doesn't necessarily do that.
Drag the Deacons, Kenton. We ain't even got there. That ain't even the episode yet. The Deacon fans are listening like, yeah, okay.
That's a compliment. They do their thing. I'm gonna tell you this. They don't try to fit square pegs in a round hole. They say, I got a round hole. I'm gonna go get a bunch of round circles, and that's what we're gonna throw in here.
I ain't mad at it. I'm definitely not mad at it.
Absolutely. But
November 4th, Pitt will face off against Florida State. We already talked about yesterday, Florida State being a team that, of course, has a lot of good things going for them right now. So, hate it for you, Pitt.
I don't see this game as winnable for Pitt for this reason. Mm-hmm. Either way that Notre Dame game goes, I don't see, like, either you're going to pull off an upset, which will then have Florida State with their ears up, like, oh, we don't want that to be us, or you're going to get your brains beat in, which is going to be demoralizing. And then you're looking up at a team that you're like, they just keep climbing in the rankings.
Yeah.
And now we got to play them. This should be fun. So, I mean, I don't really think that this Florida State game is winnable.
And I think Florida State will have a nice little stretch of feeling themselves. So I think they'll ride that high. They want to keep going because they know they're supposed to be a team like this. So I think that's dangerous territory for Pitt, honestly.
And it's the exact opposite of the North Carolina situation where it was like, oh, their strengths are your weaknesses and and your strengths are their weaknesses. Oh, no. Y'all's strength is what Florida State is going to do a good job of negating. The strength of this Pitt team is that front seven. without any ifs, ands, or buts about it. That's going to be the strength. That's going to be where they live. If any group can play up to that front seven standard this year, they'll be just fine. And when I say any group, I mean any group offensively plays up to that front seven standard, they'll be just fine. But with that being said, Florida State is going to run the ball. They're going to find some ways. They're going to get creative. They do G sweeps. They do traps. They do, you name it. They're going to find a way. That buck sweep is nasty too, with both of those big old guards pulling downhill. That is going to be a tough thing for them to overcome in terms of getting a win there.
I really want to crack a joke, but I know it's not going to land for you. So I'm just going to let it be. I'm thinking,
Okay.
I was going to say Pitt is going to need the strength of the Black Panther. But
Listen, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. And not to mention with that running game, they have the added factor of a running quarterback. Like, that's going to be a tough task for Pitt.
The strength of the Gold Panther is what...
It will be stripped away. You understand? It will be stripped away. Okay.
See, Jurkovec is going to need a whole lot. Okay. Oh, my gosh. That's funny to me.
No, I'll tell you. If Phil plays like the Phil that everybody thought he was a few years ago, this team could.
Hell, maybe Phil truly, especially with this game, it's going to show, okay, if I have a real offensive line, look at what I can do, right? Maybe this is one, and this would definitely be one of those games where it's I put myself on some good tape to take myself to the next level because I know I don't have any eligibility, so it really has to be this year. So we'll see. If it ain't this game, maybe it'll be the November 11th game against Syracuse. That's a great get some film tape.
Oh, absolutely. I think that's probably Dino's last game there too. I think that's the one where they're getting them papers.
Nene,
here you go, buddy.
Now why am I in it? Now, leave Dino alone. We haven't even got to Dino. Don't do that today. You already know how I feel. I'm very sensitive about Dino.
I ain't gonna say nothing.
Thank you so much. November 16th, Boston College. I honestly feel a way too about Halfley, but
Halfley might be another one. You might get 2 straight games. But hey, buddy, it's been great. Hey, man.
At that point, it's 2 more games. They'll let them finish the season.
Yeah, okay. We thought that. We've thought that for plenty of coaches. And the next thing you know, yeah, this coach is out. Yeah, we
it's a Thursday night game too. Yeah, he might not make it through the weekend.
We wanted to go in a bit different direction, and you just weren't on the same wave that we were trying to be on moving forward. The future of the program we felt would be in better hands if we got the coaching search going right now.
If they haven't won 4 or 5 by them, I know they're fielding calls. That's Boston College. But Pitt, 100%. It's going to be pretty much a dub for them. Now, Duke will be their final game. It'll be senior night for Boston College game, but Duke will be away in Durham, North Carolina, a Duke team that has had a really good past couple of years. They've been really a good challenge for Pitt these past few seasons. You already know how I feel about Duke.
I don't see Pitt getting a win here either.
Yeah.
I don't see it happening. Now, I will tell you this. They have a better chance. They have a better because I think that Duke will get brought back down to earth a little bit. And the best thing a team can have is confidence. In some regards.
You go. I also think this is like we kind of either know Phil is here to stay, or
one of those other
Yarnell,
6, one of those other 5.
Veilleux Couché. Like we're just, we're throwing them up at the wind.
Stop playing with that man name.
I know.
Stop playing
Veilleux, Peninsula P, help me out. I don't know.
Peninsula P, please help us.
Please help us, Lord.
Please.
But that's the Pitt season. So when it's all said and done, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 games.
Yeah, I think they go to a bowl game. Yeah.
Definitely bowl eligible. They'll sneak. Yeah. They'll sneak an upset in there.
Although I wouldn't be surprised if they went 5-7. I wouldn't be surprised if they went 5-7. But if they snuck their way, if they snuck their way into a bowl game, if they ended up in Detroit for that bowl game where it's always an ACC team against the MAC team, I wouldn't be surprised.
If they mess around and pop North Carolina in the mouth, that's where I see the upset being. If they mess around and beat West Virginia and Cincinnati, those are the upsets that I'm seeing. Other than that, it ain't gonna be Notre Dame. It ain't gonna be Florida State. I say that in April. Who knows what could happen? But
with all due respect, respectfully, Marcus Freeman got a good lineup in South Bend, Indiana. You understand?
He got a lineup all right. Got somebody.
The ability. the ability to find a good barber in South Bend, Indiana. That says something about that man's abilities right there, you know. And so,
goodbye.
I see a tough out for Pitt on that day.
Rounding out the show, talking about the Pitt Panthers here, I think it's going to be a good season. It's very much dependent on Phil Jurkovec. I think you have to find, some answers from that run game and just let the defense be who they are.
Yeah, I think their ceiling is 8 wins, including the bowl game. 8 wins, including the bowl game.
Okay.
Without a bowl game, 7.
And and then you feel fine about Narduzzi staying head coach.
Yeah, Narduzzi's safe. He won them an ACC championship. He's safe. He's good. He's good there for a minute.
Gotcha.
He's good on any MLK Boulevard there for a minute. He's good.
And on that note, for Candace Cooper and Kenton Gibbs, make sure you check out all of our Locked On Podcast Network show. Please make us your first listen each and every day. Subscribe to that YouTube channel. Follow us on Twitter at Locked On ACC and our respective personal channels. Until next time.